pusha på och smeker med motståndet vi leker. Vi sitter här i väntan och spelar lite Dota och springer runt och creepar och motståndet vi slipar. Vi sitter här.
That's how I started with ADV. I tell you what it is. It's a combination of two things. It's a combination of being in the place where the work is done. If you live in Florida, you're not going to get cast in Dallas. It's just the way it is, you know. You got to be where the work is. The second thing, acting. You need to have experience in and you know what, you guys, a lot of people come up to us and go, you know, I can sound like Homer Simpson, you know, I can imitate Yoda. And it's not about making funny voices, you guys. You know why? Because we already have a Yoda. Somebody's already making a very good living as Homer Simpson. Chances of you getting cast as Homer Simpson are slim to none. The key is not to make funny voices. The key is to play a character. I can't change my voice a lot of different ways. I can act different characters. Every time people say, like, I heard Dark Mousy from Dean Angel and it sounded like Ed. Well, if you watch the whole series, Dark Mousy is not Edward Elric. And they're very different characters. Now, the tone of the voice may sound similar, but the example I love to use is an actor, like, let's say Al Pacino. He's done a million movies, right? Million movies. He plays all these different characters, right? But he always sounds like Al Pacino. See my point? The point is not to change your voice with every character. The point is to play the character honestly. So sometimes a character will demand a weird kind of a funny voice, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes it's more of an attitude. Edward Elric is young, but he's kind of a spaz. He's spastic. He's got a lot of energy all the time, right? Yeah. Well, 5-fluoride might be in the same range, but he speaks a little more succinctly and a little more properly. It's not so much that the voice changes, it's just the attitude with which you portray the lines. So some people are great at really changing their voices, and I love to get to play characters that don't sound like me. One of my favorite compliments is when somebody came up, like right after Bleach, right after Ikaku showed up, and like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that was you. Because it was very different than the high, youthful kind of hero voice. Oh my gosh, yes. What was his name? Dashwood in Chevalier. And Virgil in Trinity Blood. I mean, I love to get to do that, but it's not always about changing the sound of your voice. Some people have very recognizable voices. Greg Ayers, but you know what? It's a great voice. And you come to love that voice and you like to recognize it. It's fun to recognize characters, like voice actors in different roles. But if they play the role honestly and create a good character, then hopefully that's all that matters. So being in the place where work is done, which is LA, Houston, Dallas, Vancouver, and New York. Those are pretty much the 5 places where anime is done. So being there and then having some kind of a background. Plan for it now. If there is anyone in here who's interested in getting in this business, don't say to yourself, well, I'm gonna go and audition and then I'm gonna get good at it. No, no, no. You need to be good at it before you ever walked in the door. Because you may only get one opportunity to audition for a company. And if you're not ready, if you don't have the tools on your belt that you've practiced and you've studied and you've got experience, that may be the only opportunity you ever have. I know people, you guys. I know people who are really good and they went into an audition and it kind of freaked them out a little bit. It was something new. It was very different. You know, mic hanging here in front of their face. You know, the what's the word? The self-consciousness of feeling really like it. The guy's sitting right there and he's watching me and I'm supposed to cry and all this kind of stuff. And they didn't do a good job with the audition, and it didn't matter that I knew they were awesome. They didn't get called back. So having the experience ahead of time is very important. Yes, sir.
For one, I think you probably remember your MegaCon experience.
I do. I recognize your face.
Yeah, for one, I was going to ask you, Johnny Bosch, every other phone call we left him at 11:30 in the morning while he was on the plane into when you first went into Bleach, and Well, one of the episodes of Yashiro bites Hikaku on the head. What were you thinking when you just saw her latch on to him and fight him?
I love it.
Playing as her tomorrow.
Oh, really? Come in. I want to see you tomorrow. Come and show me your cosplay.
If I style it right, that's kind of weird.
Fortunately, no one actually bit my head. So I only had to imagine what the biting would feel like. But I love Ikaku. I love playing that character. Again, it's not the typical character that I end up playing. And so I love that. I love it.
When you first got him, did you think he was some minor character? Did you know how?
I had no idea. In fact, you know what? I was in there doing something for, I don't even remember what I was doing. And what was it? No, I was doing something and they said, hey, read these. They were casting for 3 or 4 new characters that were coming up in Bleach. And they're like, here, we want you to read for these characters. So it was 4 or 5 of those people that all showed up around the same time as Ikaku. And I just went in and auditioned, and like the day I got back to Houston, by the way, Bleach is recorded in LA. So I needed to promise them that I would come to LA anytime they wanted me to, which is quite a tall order, you guys. Talking about being where the work is. I mean, I've got 100 shows to my credit, but they don't want to it was very hard to get an opportunity in Los Angeles because I don't live there. So it didn't matter, all the experience that I had, it didn't matter, because they want somebody that's right down the street, and they want somebody that if you say the name wrong, if you say Hikaru, and after you've recorded, the editors decide they want Hikaru, guess who has to come back in and just go, Hikaru, and then leave. So you can see the logistical problem of only having to do a pickup line when you live in another city. And they can't afford to do that. They can't afford to have the whole production held up because one guy lives real far away and he can't get back to do his pickup lines. So it's been really hard to break in out there. I've been doing a lot of video games out in LA, which is good because it's a one-time deal. I mean, you go in and you record it and you're done. It's not an ongoing series. So yeah, Persona 3. As far as Ikaku is concerned, yeah, I just read for him, and then like the day after I got home, they called me and said, oh, congratulations, we want you to play Ikaku Madarame. I'm like, great, who is that? I didn't remember his name, they're like, the bald guy. I'm like, great, I have no recollection of what I did in the audition. So, yes sir.
What was your experience making games with Shattered Blade?
I loved it. Do you have it? Is it any good?
Yes.
I've never played any video game I've done. I don't have time. I've done like 20 video games and I've never played one of them. I want to. But I loved playing them. You know what was fun? When we did the video game, at the end when they wanted you to say the name of the video game as the character, and then they wanted you to say Bleach. Well, if I were in English, we say Bleach. Well, like in Japanese, Bleach has like 4 syllables. So they wanted us to actually record ourselves as the character, saying it like, sounding like, saying it Japanese style. So I'd never been asked to do that before, and so I had so much fun going, Bleach! Yes, sir. Soldier A.